Roll, Raggy, roll. Oh no, what do we got going on here?
1 hour later.
Buenos dias, everybody. Welcome to the farm. We got a really busy day today. Thing number one, Roman's chopping a hole in the side of the house right now. We currently do not have a house door. We're gonna put one in. If all goes well, we are going to be jumping into the underground movie theater later today, and we are going to be tearing those walls down and putting them back up. And on top of that, I guess we'll see what else we can get into. Hey, everybody, you're watching Cole the Corn Star. If you are new to the channel, this is my farm. I farm 1,000 acres of corn and 1,000 acres of soybeans, and behind me is one of my fields. On the farm, we also have my farmhouse. This house has been in my family since 1933, so we are coming up on a century of my family living here. I am actually the 5th generation to live in this house. In the year 2013, I started cleaning up this property. There was a bunch of scrap metal. Just think of an old farm with equipment parked everywhere with big piles of junk and trees and weeds growing through it. That was everything that we seen here. And I spent about 10 years cleaning up the property. When I started cleaning everything up, this was my grandpa's house. And then in 2018, he passed away with stage 4 brain cancer. About 1 year after my grandpa passed away, I moved into the house. So I had already been cleaning the outside, and then I also started doing the same thing on the inside. The upstairs of the house did not have working plumbing, and the electricity up here also did not work. So I decided to come in and completely gut everything and rebuild it. And the upstairs bled into doing the downstairs, and the downstairs bled into us building an entire underground movie theater addition. Exactly 1 year and 17 days ago, we broke ground on the underground movie theater, and for the last 1 year and 17 days, whenever we have not been working on the farm, we have been working on building the underground movie theater. We've been getting rid of a bunch of water, we've been waterproofing, and we've been pouring a lot of concrete. All in all, we ended up pouring about 30 concrete trucks worth of concrete. And the best part is, none of us have much concrete experience. In fact, none of us had ever poured basement walls before, and none of us had ever poured a basement floor before. But we did it. And when we got this pour done, this pour marked the last of the concrete. So now that we are done with concrete, we are moving on to the wood. So today is going to be a start of a new chapter. We're going to be working with the wood, aka the framing, and it's just in time for today because today is my birthday. So I turned 28 today. And on top of turning 28, we are starting with the framing of the house. Hey Roman, is there a Ukrainian happy birthday song?
No, not really. Everyone sings the same song. It just sounds more choppy. З днем народження тебе. See, it doesn't flow.
For today, it's going to be Roman and I working. Roman's gonna finish getting this door put in. He's already got it up. He just needs to get everything all straight and tight so that way it seals good. So while he is working on that, I am going to be jumping into the underground movie theater. We just got a nice little rain this morning, so it's kind of puddly down there. I'm gonna go down there with the squeegee and a broom, and I'm gonna see if I can get that floor dried up. Because once we get done up here with the door, we are going to need to pull all of these walls down and then put them back up because we are currently too close to the wall. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but I recorded this entire floor being dried up and it looked super cool, and I went and grabbed my camera and it didn't record any of it. But nonetheless, we now have a completely dry floor, so we are ready to get to work tearing these down. The main reason we are going to be tearing these walls down is because of this insulation that we have at the bottom. Over here in this corner, we have a really good example. See how we have a nice gap between our dimple board and our insulation? Well, that gap allows water inside of there. Truthfully speaking, I have no idea how the water is actually disappearing inside of here because we designed it where water can disappear on the backside, but on the backside of this, it should eventually just run into concrete and just fill that up. But it's not. It's just taking the water away and disappearing with it. So that's giving us a little bit of a problem. If water can leave, that means vapor can come up. And vapor inside of a finished basement means dampness, mold, and stinkiness, which is what we do not want. This is where our closed cell spray foam insulation is going to come into play. The closed cell spray foam insulation is a vapor barrier, so when we spray it on the wall and we cover our dimple board right here, it will seal all that vapor behind the dimple board, and when we get down here to the very bottom, where we have our little gap, we'll be able to seal that vapor behind there as well. Last week, I was out of state, and Justin and Roman got started building the walls down here, and they did not know about that little gap, letting the water out and letting the vapor in. So they built the wall, and it's too close. As we can see right here with how close the wall is to the dimple board, it is simply just too close to be able to get spray foam insulation down in there to be able to block off our little crack. So we need to loosen this entire thing and slide it out 2 inches so that way we can get in there and get our insulation in to be able to block that vapor smell, so that way we will have a nice, clean, dry, and nice smelling basement. Snap it a chalk line. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. We have a piece of string with some blue chalk on it. So Roman's already got some marks laid down on the concrete, and we're gonna pull this string tight, and then we just grab the string and slap it down, and then it leaves a chalk mark on the concrete, so that way we have a perfectly straight line, and then we know exactly where we need to move our board to. So we call this a string line. String line, chalk line, snap line, it depends on who you're talking to. It basically all means the same thing. I'm excited to use my tool belt today. I feel like I haven't got to put this thing on in a good while because we've just been doing concrete stuff, but I got a couple upgrades last Christmas that I finally get to use a little bit today. So right here, we have my hammer loop on the inside, so I can put a hammer inside there, and I don't have to worry about the thing flopping around. So I kind of like this, and I also like how it gives me flexibility. If I want to put it here, I can. If I want to put it in here, I can. And then I also have one on the very back, if I can get it in there, that I can put in too, if I want to. It just depends what I am working on. Most of the time, I'll probably just shove it in here. And then on the other side, I can do the same thing with the bar, cat's paw, or whatever I want to throw in there. Over here, got my speed square on the right, tape measure on the right. I'm left-handed, so I like how I can grab my speed square, and then I can just grab my pencil out of the other side, put everything back, put everything back. I can do the same thing with tape measure, get a measurement, boom, write it, put it right back, and then I always have my utility knife, and then everything else is basically just fasteners. Then back here, got where I can put my impact. Roman's on the phone right now, so we're gonna be polite, but what we're gonna do is we're simply just gonna take these walls, we're gonna lay them over, slide them over to the other side, then we'll take the plate off that's on the ground, we'll move everything over, and then we'll put it back together. For the piece of wood that touches the concrete, or what we would call the bottom plate, we are using a special board called a green treat board. Sometimes we'll just refer to them as a green board or a ground contact treated board. It all means the same thing. So right here we have a green board, and then these would be just the traditional white board. These would be basically any house you would see built would be made out of these, and then with the ones that are in contact with either the concrete or the ground, you would see something like this. So just looking at them, really the big difference we're seeing right now is they are a slightly different color. The thing that makes the green treat board so much different is they are treated with some sort of zinc material, which pretty much just kills the bacteria that gets onto wood and causes wood to rot. So these boards are much more resistant to rot than the white boards. Oh, not zinc, it's copper?
Copper.
Now there are two main reasons why we are throwing the green treat wood onto the concrete instead of just putting down the white stuff. Reason number one, concrete is alkaline, meaning it is literally the opposite of an acid. And apparently if you set stuff on there that's sensitive to alkaline stuff, it will simply just rot it away over time. And apparently whitewood does not like being near alkaline stuff because this can get eaten over time if it's just sitting on concrete. I really don't know a lot about the alkalinity with the wood on the concrete. All I know is people say it's a problem, so we're just gonna take their wood for it. But that's not the main reason why we're using the green treat anyway. That's really, I guess, just a bonus. The main reason why we're using the green treat is for water. As much water mitigation and waterproofing as we have done on the underground movie theater, we should never have any water problems in here. However, we are just doing preventative maintenance right now. Concrete is porous. So if it comes in contact with water, water can get inside of the concrete and slowly work its way through. This corner over here is a really good example of what I'm talking about. We had a puddle over here from the rain this morning, and look how high our water line is. The puddle was not this deep. It was hardly anything at all. But with the concrete being porous, the water has worked its way up the wall. That process of water being able to climb up something like that is called capillary action, and that's the main reason why we're throwing the green treat down. If any capillary action ever goes on in the future, this green treat board is not going to get affected by the moisture. It won't rot because of the treatment, so then that will be protecting our whiteboards, so that way our walls will stay structurally sound in the future. And on top of the green treat, we're also throwing in another layer of protection. This is a capillary break. So this is going to sit between the concrete and our green treat board as another layer of preventing moisture from being able to have capillary action up. So in other words, our green treat board is pretty much a belt, and then when we throw our capillary break on the bottom, we now have a belt and suspenders. When we got started moving these walls this morning, it took a little bit of head scratching because there are going to be floor trusses that are going to be running over the top of these, and they line up with our studs. And since we ended up shifting everything over, that means our studs also shifted. So we had to do a little head scratching to figure out how exactly we were going to do stuff to make things still line up. I think we got it figured out. So we got the slow part out of the way. Everything else should go pretty fast now. If you look right here, we got this wall done, and now we have plenty of room between the wall and the concrete, so we should have no problem getting our closed cell spray foam insulation in here. Pero antes de terminar este proyecto, yo necesito salir por mi fiesta de cumpleaños. Mis suegros están haciendo sus tacos especial para mi cumpleaños y ellos están empezando en 30 minutos. Estos tacos tienen mucho sabor, pero no están muy buenos para mi cuerpo o mi estómago. Pero ellos están qué rico. All right, Ricardo, what do we got?
We have some tacos for you.
Oh, we survived the tacos last night. I think I had 9 of them. They were absolutely delicious. But now we're gonna get back to work in the basement. I have some office stuff that I need to take care of for a couple hours. So while I am working in the office, we're gonna have Justin, Ricardo, and Roman working down here, continuing with what we were doing yesterday. I am now done with my office activities. I'm ready to get to work, and check this out. We would pass inspection with this because we have a live set of blueprints on the job site. I feel very professional right now. I would just like to report that we are now into building a few walls, and none of us have made very many major mistakes today.
Not very many, 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I moved the stud today, and then it appeared to be the wrong stud. So I had to move the one that I moved, and then move the one that was wrong.
And then I just tried measuring this doorway opening, and I cut my board to 59 inches, and come to find out it was 64 and 5/16. So I cut a board to 64 and 5/16, and then come to find out Justin actually wrote down 64 and 15/16.
Too much pressure.
It's my fault.
Too much pressure.
I'll take the
We can take it.
I'll take the board.
Before we throw the boards down into the underground movie theater, we are doing a pre-inspection on them to make sure that they are nice and straight. So right here, we have a pile of boards that we have not gone through yet, and then this pile over here that's stacked nicely are the boards that did not meet our criteria for being straight enough. The way we check these boards is pretty simple. We just turn them up on their side like this, and then we just look down them. And if they bend really far to the left or right, or bend up or bend down, we don't want it. We want the ones that are nice and straight. The first room, which is going to be the future gym, has now been framed up. So we can definitely start to visualize things a little bit more. So we shrunk our doorway down over here. So this is going to be a 36-inch wide door going into the underground movie theater. In the future, right here, there is going to be a spiral staircase that will take us up to the main hallway of the house. And then over here, we are gonna have another spiral staircase somewhere about right in here. That will take me up into my bedroom, which will be right on the other side of that wall. And then over here we have 2 doorways on this back wall. This one on the right is going to take us underneath the stairs. So this one is basically just going to be a closet. Our stairs will start up there, and then they'll work their way down. And then this doorway will be the doorway at the bottom of the stairs, and then that will allow us to be able to have access to the garage, which will be at the top of the stairs. And then we can walk through. We can hit our spiral staircase right here. I can go up to my room if I want to. And then if I keep walking, then I can hit the other spiral staircase. I can go upstairs, which will take me into the kitchen or anywhere else I want to go in the house. And then we can also go in there to hit the underground movie theater. The gym still looks a little bit weird because we're not quite done yet. We do have our walls in place. However, we do not have our floor trusses on. So we are actually going to be setting trusses on top of those walls, and they will span all the way across to the top of this wall. So when we have our floor trusses in and our sheeting on, it will actually sit flush with this concrete, which is flush with everything we have right there. So this will basically just be one floor continuous across, and when everything's all done, you'll have no idea that there's actually a basement underneath. Over here on our wood pile, we have all of the trusses that we are going to be using. So down here, I don't really know what these are called. I'm just gonna call them a K truss because it kind of looks like a K. But we have these ones with the big wide openings, and then we have these other ones, which are basically an I-beam that is made out of strand board with these little boards on the bottom and little boards on the top. On top of our floor joists, we are also going to have some beams in the floor. So these boards that we see sitting on top right here are called LVLs, laminated something lumber. If you look closely, these LVLs are made out of several layers of wood, and then they are glued together and sandwiched, and so they make a really long board that's straight and they're really strong. And on top of that, they're also pretty pricey. Inside of this bundle, we have 6 20-footers, and these are going to make up the beams that are going to be inside of our floor. And I believe building those beams is going to be our next step. We're not gonna have enough daylight today to be able to get the beams built, but we can get everything over here and ready so that way tomorrow we'll have everything prepared and ready to go. Those beams are really heavy, and I don't really want to carry them one at a time up the ladder and then glue them and then screw them the whole length of the beam. So we're just gonna use the telehandler to set them in. Okay, come on, girl. Yes. On the road again. So here are our 6 beams. We are going to take 3 of them and we're gonna glue each one of them together and then screw them, and then we'll add the 3rd one on. So this will be one of the beams, and then these 3 will make up the other. I don't really know exactly how heavy these beams are, but I would not be surprised if they're 100 or 150 pounds a piece. So when we get 3 of them sandwiched together, I mean, we're talking 300-400 pounds. So having the lift here to be able to lift these beams in is going to be really nice. While I was grabbing the telehandler, Roman got these stud pockets, jack packs, I don't know what you would call them, but they are just a bunch of 2x6s that are all sandwiched together. And then at the very top is where the beam is going to sit. So this will be supporting all of the weight on the beam. So Roman's got one on this side, and then he has one built on the other. We're actually gonna have to build another set of them off of this corner because there's gonna be another beam right here as well. And then that will shoot straight through to the other side, but we do not have those measurements yet, so we're gonna have to do that on another day. I'm gonna go ahead and call this our first day of framing, where we were just solely focused on putting up wood, and I would say that we got some really nice progress done, and this looks awesome. Day number 1 of framing in the books. This is all we got for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.